Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode number 14 of Two Nerds in a Pod, the nerdiest podcast, nerdiest gaming podcast in the galaxy. I'm Lam, also known as Mr. Nice Guy. I do have my co-host here with me. Oh wow, we're getting some feedback, Mac.
Are we?
Yeah,
Is it good
man.
kind of feedback? The stuff we like?
No, but I think it's over with. We got it fixed now. I'm Lam, known as Mr. Nice Guy. We also have Maction here.
Kind of feedback? The stuff we like?
There's a time for words and there's a time for Maction. Now, I think I figured out what it is. I think it's something to do with the Google Hangout. Do I have audio on my Google Hangout that I need to mute somehow?
Good question. I don't think so.
Do I have audio on my Google
Is it coming through? Is it like
It's-
coming
so-
through your speakers?
So it's coming through my speaker, and I'm hearing it after I say something. 30 seconds later, I'm hearing myself talk.
don't think so.
So I don't know what's going on.
Is it in your like video preview? Coming through your speakers? Is it in like is it
That
from
could
Twitch?
be it. That could be it. Give me a sec. Let's get this figured out. Let's get this figured out before.
Is it in your like video?
There it is,
preview?
right there. There it
Is
is,
in,
right
like,
there.
Is it from
That could
Twitch?
be it. That could be it. Give me a sec.
Victory.
Now I gotta figure out how to shut this video preview down. Regardless, guys, welcome to the podcast. Mac, how was your week, man?
Oh, well, it was good. We had some holidays, so I took some time off from work. We also there was some presents, which was great. I got to see some family members that I don't regularly see. Gives you, sort of reminds you as to why you don't regularly see them. But yeah, all in all, it was a pretty good. It was a
Dude,
pretty good
now
week.
that's a story that begs the question: who are we talking about, and what did they do? I'm kidding. No, you don't have to. You don't have to get into that.
Yeah, sadly, I think it would thoroughly depress you.
Oh dang! Well, then I don't want to hear it, man.
Yeah, we'll just say that it's 2017, and there are some things that people of any adultish age, much less being in their 30s, should have more sense than to say.
I understand completely what you're saying. We won't bother our viewers with that. But it sounds like other than those interactions, you had a solid holiday season. And I celebrate Christmas. I know you celebrate Christmas, so we could say Christmas season here.
Indeed, yeah. Christmas and New Year's was actually fun. As it turns out, a friend of mine, it's his wedding anniversary on New Year's. So we, had a New Year's. We had a good New Year's time, and we even went dancing because that's what they wanted to do. And
Dude,
so I
Mac,
danced.
did you dance? Did you break it down?
And I did the Carlton.
Dude,
Yes,
no,
I
you
did.
didn't. Did you really?
I did.
You
I
did
did.
the Carlton?
But it wasn't too. It's not unusual. So,
Okay.
so I just kind of.
This is why you have to be here for the live show, ladies and gentlemen. He just did the Carlton live on stream. Now, Mac, so you cut a rug. And I say cut a rug because that's the type of language that you would use. Like, that's the
Indeed.
verbiage that you would use. You cut a rug.
Mm-hmm.
You had a good time. Did Mrs. the Mac dance too?
She did, and she is a significantly better dancer than I am. As a matter of fact, I may dance like nobody's watching sometimes, but she dances like everyone's watching, and as in like performance. She moves. I'm sure that there's some sort of song lyric or some sort of poetry in motion
Right.
type of thing that accurately describes her, because she is freaking graceful. In her spare time, she does teach dance, so not too surprising.
Dude, that's cool. Well, I'm glad you had a good holiday season, man. That's good to hear. Mine was solid as well. My brother came into town, and so we hung out. I live in Chicago, in the Chicago area, so we went to catch a Bulls game. We went to dinner a few different places. We had a really, really good time. He's applying to some medical schools, so we went out, we drove, we visited one of them. He just had a good time playing with the kids. Lots of fun, man. Just a great, great break. I took like a week and a half off from work. And I like my job. But
nice.
time off is always good. So it was a blast. Now I have some kind of big news that I wanna share with you. It's involving comedy. So here's what went down. And welcome to you guys who are getting here live. We're glad to have you. Welcome to the podcast. Someone's asking if they can join the crew. That's interesting. So Mac, I do stand-up comedy, and part of growing in comedy is to get past at real legit comedy clubs. Like, you start out doing open mics, there's different bar shows and different self-produced shows by comics, but ultimately you want to get past at the clubs and you want to move up from there. So I just found out today that I get to showcase at a local comedy club here in Alsip, named Riddle's Comedy Club. So February 6th, I will be showcasing there with 5 to 7 other comedians. It's actually a free show, 2-drink minimum, 21 and up. So if any of you guys are here in the Chicago area, you're welcome to come check me out. And I'm excited. It's something I had kind of already achieved in the scene that I was in before, but here I'm starting over. So now I'm back to that point of getting past at the actual clubs and then getting work as a host or as a feature act on weekends. So pretty excited, man. It's a big step if I do well. Nice.
Making some big progress back there in Chicago. Known for its comedy scene.
That's right. Known for the comedy, also known for the pizza, also known for the murder, but I try to avoid that. I like 2 of the 3, but not the 3rd. Well, Mac, that said, shall we hop into the news?
I think we absolutely should, Mr. Nice Guy. What have we got?
We got some.
Have we got?
We got some really good news stories this week, you guys. So this first one is on GameSpot. It goes on to say, during a recent report regarding alleged Russian hacking of the U.S. presidential election, CNN briefly showed footage from Fallout 4. As noticed by Reddit user Poofylicious, the video, which can be seen here on their website around the 102 mark, shows an angled shot of a computer screen displaying random strings of text. The cliche-ridden shot is, in fact, a common sight in Bethesda's Fallout games, as demonstrated in the graphic below from the Reddit post. So, guys, bottom line here, a real news source was talking about hacking, and instead of actually showing some hacking, they chose to use some footage from a video game. Now, is this the first time that it's happened? No, it is not. We have some examples here. It talks about, it says, during a story on child soldiers, RT showed an image from Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, a decision it later called deliberate. I can't read today. An Iranian network showed Medal of Honor footage in a report on a raid on ISIS, while Yahoo opted for a Destiny screenshot in a web story about one of Saturn's moons. Guys, let's stop using video game footage for real life stuff. How about that? If you're a legitimate news source, why don't you show some legitimate news footage? Mac, what do you think, though? Am I making too big a deal out of this, or are they good?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe a little bit, because Mr. Nice Guy, you have to ask yourself, how would one actually film hacking? You'd have to get in touch.
No,
you'd have to get a hacker.
I get
him
that.
Get him on camera.
You don't have to. You could just get someone. You could just show someone's fingers typing on a keyboard. You could show a clip from the classic movie Hackers, starring Angelina Jolie. A great movie if you haven't seen it, guys.
Indeed.
But instead they're showing video game hacking. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Interestingly enough, there's this thing. I don't know if it's a website that everybody uses, but there's at least a website to mock sort of movie hacking, where all you do is you type in and it'll spit. You type whatever you want and it'll spit out garbled, nonsense-looking code.
Really?
In green on black or whatever. I don't know if one of the CSIs has actually used that as a thing on one of their episodes, but I wouldn't put it past them. So I guess maybe Mr. Nice Guy, you put the little dramatization at the bottom. Yeah, you could probably do better than stock video from a video game. That's fair point. Fair point.
Yeah. Well, guys, regardless, let's keep it moving. Red Dead Redemption 2. This is on Game Rant. It says, while it is common practice for a developer, Rockstar Games, to go dark after initially announcing a title like it did with Red Dead Redemption 2, that hasn't stopped the marketing blitz for a game from getting going. It's an interesting use of words right there. Just this week, for example, promo material for Red Dead 2 started going out that, if nothing else, confirms the game will in fact release in 2017. Unfortunately, there isn't anything else to be gleaned from the Red Dead Redemption 2 promo stand, as it uses the familiar image of cowboy silhouettes against the setting sun. Fans have already pored over the image to try and gather some details, if any. But as of right now, it's all speculation. The only major item to note is on the stand is its release date, which reads autumn 2017 or fall for non-UK residents. What isn't speculation, though, is the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 will be releasing this year, assuming it isn't delayed. Rockstar is a developer known for taking its time with projects, and very rarely does the studio stick to its first release date. So, guys, I'm really excited for Red Dead 2. I know some of you guys are excited for Red Dead 2. Mac, I know you're not excited for Red Dead 2.
I don't think it'd be fair to say. Well, okay, yeah, fair to say not excited. I would have said ambivalent, but I guess ambivalent is part of the not excited group. So I'll take that.
Yeah, and it's not the type of game that I really play anymore. 10 years ago, or excuse me, not 10 years ago, 6-7 years ago when the first one came out, I was really into that type of game. Now I've kind of moved on from the Rockstar stuff. But one thing I have to say that I respect about them is that they said the game is coming out and they're planning on releasing it about a year after they announced it. I think it's terrible, as you guys know, if you're regulars, when companies say, oh, the game's going to be out in a year, and then it ends up coming out 3 years later due to delay after delay after delay. So we'll see what happens. Now, we have a comment in the chat. Galvatron, he says, the funny thing about Red Dead Redemption 2 is that 2K and Rockstar no longer participate in E3, so they will likely do their own conference or event to unveil the game. That's true. Rockstar doesn't do E3. So, I mean, they kind of have already unveiled the game, but we'll see if they have more info before the release date. Moving on, guys. Let's talk about the Nintendo Switch, something that we can all get a little bit excited about. This is on Game Rant as well. It says, one of the most exciting gaming advances coming this year is Nintendo's new flagship console, the Nintendo Switch. While gamers wait for more information to be revealed about the handheld hybrid device to be revealed in January, some information is finding its way to the streets a little early. The latest details about the Nintendo Switch come by way of former senior rendering lead for Ubisoft, Sebastian Altonen, who shared on a Beyond 3D forum some news about the Nintendo Switch processing speed. Unfortunately for fans of current-gen games, it seems the Switch's processing speed may be far below what we were hoping. There's a quote here from him. He says, around 50% of modern game engine frame time goes to running compute shaders. 25.6 gigabytes is pretty low. So he gets into some technical stuff. He goes on to say basically that too bad last-gen consoles already got their last big AAA releases a year ago. Xbox One is significantly faster hardware. Straightforward code port is not possible. Content also needs to be simplified. Bottom line, we're not going to get current-gen ports of these games, you guys. Which sucks because I think that people are going to buy the Switch wanting to adopt certain games. Like they showed NBA 2K. They've showed other things, besides just the Mario and the Zelda. For people who are fans of Nintendo, third-party support is something that they've been begging for a really long time. So we'll see how it does. Now, Mac, do you think this is going to hurt sales, the fact that they're not going to get ports of already released games, or do you think Nintendo's going to be all right?
Frankly, I think they're probably going to be all right. People aren't really... I mean, as far as Nintendo goes, the two things people are asking about the Nintendo Switch are, what are the new games going to be? People are looking for the stuff for Switch exclusives, and they're wondering about virtual console stuff. So, I mean, at least those are the people that I've talked to. Seems, in general, to be most of the concerns. I don't think that this is going to hurt them that much at all, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to agree with you, but I also think that it might be the same mistake that's been made over and over, where they just don't have third-party support. I also read an article today saying that they are not going to have the new Mass Effect on the Nintendo Switch, which to me is a major oversight. That's going to be a big game. Now, that said, they are going to have a lot of games using the Unreal Engine, so it's at least capable of running that engine. I think that's huge because so many games are made using that engine. Moving on. We'll do a couple more news stories, and then we'll keep things moving. This one's from Polygon, and this has to do with esports. It says the Danish soccer club FC Copenhagen is the latest professional sports team to push into esports, partnering with an entertainment company to establish an esports unit that has signed the members of a top Counter-Strike team. The players formerly with Team Dignitas have inked a 2-year contract with the new organization called North. Its Counter-Strike team will begin competition at the E-League Major Tournament in Atlanta on January 27th. Dignitas was bought by the Philadelphia 76ers of the NBA in September. They released their Danish members from their contracts at the end of 2016. It's well known for its success in League of Legends. In 3 seasons of Counter-Strike competition, they won $875,000. Guys, here's the bottom line, and I'm talking to you, Colin Cowherd of ESPN. Esports are legit. They're here to stay. You can no longer say that gaming is for nerdy losers in their mom's basement. People are making legitimate money doing this. This soccer team just bought it. The Philadelphia 76ers are in on it. Kobe Bryant is in on it. You know, as gamers, I don't feel like I ever needed someone who's mainstream, who's an athlete, who's an alpha male to get into esports to prove to me that gaming is legitimate. But that said, that the jocks are now getting into it, it just shows how mainstream it is. That's my stance on that.
I will point out, Mr. Nice Guy, that jocks have been into some decisively unjockey things. Consider fantasy football, Dungeons and Dragons for the sports minded. So I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, you're right, dude. They really have. And I mean, there's always been the bro games. There's been the Call of Duty, the Madden, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and as a guy who's kind of into both, I feel like I'm moderate in that regard. Like, I'm into sports, but I'm into gaming. It's cool to see the two kind of come together into one big thing. So we'll do one more news story, and then we'll move on. And speaking of competitive gaming, this next story is about my favorite game, Overwatch. This is on IGN.com, and it just says Overwatch gets a new control map called Oasis. I just downloaded it right before the stream. Haven't gotten to play it yet. Available now on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, the Overwatch arena sees players battling it out in an advanced city set in the Arabian Desert. There are 3 different control points to defend on Oasis, along with traffic to avoid and jump pads to use. Blizzard Entertainment also offered an official synopsis for Oasis. Quote, researchers and academics from around the region came together to found a city dedicated to scientific progress without restraints, a monument to human ingenuity and invention. The city and its inhabitants are governed by the ministries, a collection of brilliant minds who possess many secrets that have attracted the interest of powerful organizations from around the world. I'm really excited for this new map. I'm going to check it out. And if you guys didn't know, Overwatch is also going to have a competitive league. Mac, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Overwatch... I
have heard about this.
Yeah, it's huge. Overwatch is actually going to have like legitimate teams for esports based on your region, based on your city. So if you're a pro Overwatch player, you'll get a salary, you'll get benefits if you're good enough to be on one of these teams, and they will compete just like real sports teams do. So I'm really, really hyped for it. I'm not competitive. I'm not going to try to be competitive, but I'm excited to watch the pros do their thing and learn from them. So pretty excited for that. And that is our news for the week. Once again, for those of you just tuning in, this is Two Nerds in a Pod, nerdiest gaming podcast in the galaxy. I messed up the intro earlier, so once again, my name is Lam, also known as Mr. Nice Guy. My co-host here, there's a time for words, there's a time for Maction, is here too, and he's going to take it away with our next segment.
All right, the next segment, for those of you new to the place, is called Gaming History. We've talked a little bit about what's going on right now. Let's take a look at some of the notable games that have been released that maybe have, I don't know, shaped the way we've done things. Maybe they're well-loved titles, or maybe Mr. Nice Guy and I just are, kind of biased and think they're fantastic. So
they're fantastic.
So here's what we've got. And interestingly enough, believe it or not, the Christmas season, right around Christmas and New Year's, you don't see that many releases of console games. That shouldn't be too surprising when you think about it, that, if you think back, like pre-2000, and gosh, Steam got its start back in 2000. Wow, was it really 2012? Anyway, if you think back before digital distribution of video games, the places that you bought games were a brick-and-mortar store. Yep. As such, games weren't really released during the Christmas, New Year area because so many brick-and-mortar stores would be closed. Nobody would be there to buy them. So there's no point in releasing the games during the holidays until digital distribution took off. So what we've got is we've got a whole bunch of games that have been released in years past, over the past few days and couple of weeks, but they're almost all exclusively Windows. So I feel more. This is my element, having been
this is your area of expertise
for ages. And I want to start with a moldy oldie, but one that you might remember. It's called Hugo's House of Horrors, released in 1990 for DOS. This was back in the DOS days. And what was really funny about Hugo's House of Horrors is that I've actually never beaten it, which kind of feels like a terrible thing to admit. But it's one of those games that was a graphical game, right? So it had graphics. It wasn't really a text game, aside from the fact that you used the parser. You used a text-based command, so you would move Hugo around on the screen. And then you would type something like "pick up cat," or use knife on apple, or whatever you would do. And so you would do all of this stuff, but you had to interact with text, which is sort of this kind of comes out in the time period where what we were thinking about. Is we were trying to sort of bridge that gap between the full text games, things like MUDs, completely text-based RPGs and games, moving more to the graphical styles. And so sort of linking those two happens to be these games where you use parser commands to give this extra level of interaction, this extra level of choice sets, because it was much easier to program in these sorts of text commands and what you could and couldn't do than it was to actually try and give a interface with enough dynamic controls to do all the things that we can. I mean, if you just think about something like how many lines of code it takes to use the same 20, well, I mean, it's probably 14 buttons on your Xbox controller in order to interact with the various ways, whether you're talking about forging armor, repairing armor, or other things like that. This was just something that was completely unknown. Something that you just couldn't do at all. So this was kind of the in-between as we were growing from one medium to the next. So Hugo's House of Horrors definitely stands out to me as one that has was in that transitional area. It was kind of funny, had a lot of jokes, as most of these text style games had, but one that I still haven't beat.
Of course.
Yeah, text-based jokes, absolutely. But Hugo's House of Horrors came out in 1990 for DOS. Now, this next one, and these next two, I should say, are ones that are absolutely going to be instantly recognizable to anyone. Mr. Nice Guy. In 1996, there was a game released by, a studio nobody had heard about before called Diablo.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. Now I've heard of them.
This. Yeah, now you've heard of them. So Diablo, 1996, over Christmas, which was the Christmas break, which was actually really, really cool. Diablo is one of those things where it is so typical of it is what people talk about when they talk about a genre. You may talk about things like a roguelike, right? So, you've heard of roguelike, that's a genre of games. You've heard of a Metroidvania, that's somewhat of a newer genre.
Yes.
But Diablo, often Diablo clones, and so on and so forth. But Diablo, of course, overhead, action RPG, you go around killing stuff with your sword. A lot of things today spawn off of the ideas and concepts generated by Diablo. And that is, and it's crazy to think that it was only 1996 before, that is when it happened. But
now they're up to Diablo 3 and they still support it. If you guys didn't know, Diablo is made by Blizzard. And Blizzard made Overwatch, Blizzard made Heroes of the Storm, World of Warcraft. Obviously everyone's heard of them now. Great company, still supports their games. Awesome to see what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, oh gosh, they recently, I believe it was it Diablo 2, that a few months ago they released an additional patch for it, which is just crazy to think because Diablo 2 came out in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
and it's crazy to see 15 later there still be additional content released. It's crazy.
And the fact that there's still a community to justify them releasing these patches is very impressive.
Oh yeah. I mean, actually, crazy enough, I recently did some playing with Diablo 2 with some friends online. We played over Battle.net, which is crazy to think that Battle.net's still going.
Still up and running.
But yeah, so hopefully stuff like Overwatch continues to be supported for as long as games like these have been. So yeah. And then the last one that I want to talk about from gaming history, again, not surprisingly, another PC release, Baldur's Gate, released in 1998 for Windows. So Baldur's Gate, for those of you who don't know, has some similarities with Diablo, but it struck much more of a balance on the RPG side of things. Baldur's Gate is one of these games that is often in people's top 10s. It's like, well, okay, probably more like top 50s. People say, what's the 50 greatest games of all time?
Right.
Baldur's Gate often gets put in there. So yeah, this past week, in years past, in 1990, we saw Hugo's House of Horrors. In 1996, we saw Diablo. And in 1998, we saw Baldur's Gate. And that's just a few of the gems that have really kind of moved us to where we are now.
Dude, awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Guys, that was our gaming history segment. Now, if you have a game you'd like to see featured on Gaming History, hit us up on iTunes. Not on iTunes. Hit us up on Twitter.
But also hit us up on iTunes.
Also hit us up on iTunes at Two Nerds in a Podcast. The link is in the chat. Welcome, new viewers. We got a lot of new people in here today. Glad to have you guys here. Now, it's time for our next segment of the show, which I really enjoy. It's time for our viewer question of the week. Now, Mac, we have a good question this week.
Oh, I'm ready. Lay it on me.
And this is one that everybody can participate in. So I want the people who are here in the chat to let us know. I'm going to read this. This comes from Galvatron. He hit us up on Twitter last week. We didn't do the show last week, but this one applies now that the year is over, now that it's a new year. He says, this week's question is very simple. Nice guy in Maction.
Very simple. Okay, I dig simple.
I like simple too. I'm not a smart guy. I like it nice and simple. He wants to know, what are your top 5 games of 2016? Now, guys, I put my list together. Mac, if you need a couple minutes, I'll give you a couple minutes because I know I had time to read the question. But I'm going to run through my top 5. Mac, you can run through your top 5, all right? I'll start with or do you want to go first? Should I ladies first or no?
Let me go first. Okay,
you go first. You go first.
Now, sadly, I couldn't think of a full 5 games. Mr. Nice Guy did give me a little bit of a heads up on this question.
I did.
So I threw this together. But I did think of 4 that 2016 that I really liked. The first one, Stardew Valley. Absolutely is going. It's Stardew Valley is taking my number 1 spot for top games of 2016, and rightly so. Developed by a very small crew. I think it's one guy, right? Stardew Valley, one guy. I know there's at least one guy who's really the spokesperson and handling all the community and the development. He might have expanded his team because Stardew Valley's been pretty big deal, but it certainly is going for my number 1. Number 2 spot is going to Fallout Shelter, which I quite enjoyed. I really enjoyed Fallout Shelter. I think I sunk a good solid, I don't know, probably 2 weeks of time into, which was a great distraction for a mobile game. My number 3 spot is going to, and this one's a little bit on the fence because this came out kind of at the tail end of 2015, but I didn't really get my hands on it till 2016, and that was This War of Mine.
Ooh.
That game really just wrecked me emotionally, man, because
Dude, I didn't. Dude, that's good to know. Not to cut you off, but that's free on PlayStation Plus this month. So,
oh yeah, get it. This War of Mine, but be careful because you've got to be ready to make some really hard choices. Because in this War of Mine, you're not like a soldier in a war. You are a civilian, and everything that comes along with being a civilian in a war zone, it's pretty. Yeah, it's not it's not nice. I kind of wish that everybody would. I don't want to say be forced to play This War of Mine, but I think everybody should have that experience of playing it, because even if it's not like being in a war zone, maybe it's not exactly right, it kind of changes the perspective, flips the narrative around, and gives you a little bit of maybe even empathy for what other people might be going through. So it impacted me quite a bit and kind of made me feel like I don't want to say it changed my stance on warfare in general, but it really gave me some pause for thought. So yeah, This War of Mine, definitely cool.
Nice.
Cool and important.
Nice. Now here's my top 5 games. Now you guys are going to see right now the dichotomy between Max and my personality as far as games go. He's into very different games than me, but we still have a lot in common too. Now my number 5 game was NBA 2K17, and kind of to give you guys some background on my list, I kind of put in the games that I spent a lot of time on. Like if a game was good enough to to get me to keep playing it over and over and over again for whatever reason, to me that's a top game. So, and I'll read some of your viewer games that you're saying in the chat in a minute. So NBA 2K17 was my number 5. My number 4 was actually Enter the Gungeon, which you guys may not have heard of, but it's a really, really good game. Procedurally generated levels with bad guys, kind of like, what was that other game? The Binding of Isaac. But a little less gritty, a little more lighthearted. Really, really good game. Upgradable weapons, infinite replayability. I still pop it in every once in a while. My kids love it. Can play it with the kids. Number 3 is going to shock you guys because I no longer have this game. I traded it in.
Number 3 will shock you.
Number 3.
Mr. Nice Guy has gone full clickbait here.
And after the break, here's the reasons you shouldn't drink tap water. Number 3 will shock you. I feel like an investigative reporter. Number 3 is The Division. Now, I had a lot of bad things to say about The Division, but I will say that the time that I spent playing it was a lot of fun. It's just that when it first came out, there wasn't enough for me to do. There wasn't enough to keep bringing me back. Now, that said, did I put a lot of hours into it? Yes, I did. But the replayability once I reached the end game just wasn't there. Now, I've since been told that changed. But, at the time, I loved it. I played it through the end, and I may have to pick it back up eventually. Number 2 game of the year, you guys, is Uncharted 4. Easy pick. Excellent game. The ideal video game. Excellent story, excellent voice acting, excellent characters, excellent graphics, really solid gameplay. I still pop the multiplayer in now that they have added survival mode. It's really, 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 really good. Now, number 1 game, you guys know, if you know me and you watch the stream, you already know it's Overwatch. That's a game that I'm going to be playing for years to come. I never get bored of it. Anytime I'm tired of the character I'm using, I can switch to a new character. So many different game modes, just so much to do. Blizzard always supports their games. They're giving us all these free maps constantly to keep the community together, undivided. They don't charge for the DLC, and they're constantly tweaking it. I almost said twerking it. Constantly tweaking it too. Blizzard, they just be twerking in the studio. No, they're constantly tweaking it to keep the balance intact. So, really great game. Now, real quick, Mac, Galvatron, who submitted the question, wanted me to read his top 5 games that he tweeted to us because he can't remember what they were. He says his top 5 were Titanfall 2, Doom, Uncharted 4, Dishonored 2, and Inside. All excellent choices. In the chat, we have people saying Firewatch was good. We have Call of Duty. Someone says Doom, Dark Souls 3, Firewatch, Long Dark, Resident Evil 7. H1Z1 King of the Kill, Grand Theft Auto 5, and a few others. So, I mean, it was a great year for games. I really, really hope that 2017 is even better. Lots to look forward to. I'm personally looking forward to Horizon Zero Dawn. And that is our viewer question of the week, guys. To submit one next week, hit us up on Gmail at twonerdsandapodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter at twonerdsandapod. Mac, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, the next segment we've got is a little thing we like to call Kick or Kickstart.
Oh, yes.
For those of us just joining, welcome once again to Two Nerds in a Podcast, the nerdiest gaming podcast in all of the known universe. So, this segment is a little interesting. What we do is I present a Kickstarter or a currently being crowdfunded game. And then Mr. Nice Guy and I weigh in as to whether or not we think it should be kicked, that is, kicked out of here, or kick-started. That is to say that we feel like this is a game that warrants our money. We also ask those of you, our viewers, to go ahead and chime in the chat when we do about whether you think it should be kicked out or kick-started. And so, in that note, I'm going to go ahead and post the link in the chat so that you guys can see it as well. This is one I have some interesting feelings about. It's called Unknown Realm. As it says, as you can glean from the title, an 8-bit RPG for PC and Commodore 64. This is getting a release for the Commodore 64, which was let's just put it this way. The Commodore 64, for those of you who don't know, was released, oh gosh, I'm actually quick Googling this. Yeah, January 1982. More than 30 years ago. I wanted to be sure. I wanted to be absolutely sure before I said that out loud. But released more than 30 years ago, as well as a corresponding release for PC. Now, for many of us, this will come as a very big shock because of the way that the graphics are done, because of the way that the entire game is done. It is not only... It has to be done with the toolkit for a Commodore 64 so that it's compatible. So this is a very old school game. It's retro in every sense because it's not only done in the style but also with the hardware limitations of the Commodore 64. Now, at the current moment, it's been very well received. They are focusing primarily on having this open world, day and night cycle, seasonal monsters, combat. If you've played Ultima, is some of the games that it really takes its inspiration from. And in order to get in and get yourself a copy of the digital game, then, $19 release is estimated to be December 2017, but we all know that means June of 2018.
That's right.
That's take whatever release date, add 7 months, and that's what you're looking at for a
And
crowd.
they're probably gonna ask for more money.
I
know I'm pessimistic. I'm cynical. I'm cynical about it.
Oh, so what you're saying is that those fun AAA titles never ask for more money, like Destiny.
They didn't ask for more money. People gave them money willingly. They had their own
paying
funding.
for DLC, right? That's not.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That doesn't happen in games.
No, you're right. That's a valid point. That's a really valid point.
But yeah, so that's Unknown Realm. And this I have mixed feelings about. For me personally, I'm just going to throw this out there. I would say kick it. Kick it for two reasons. Number one, it is too old school for my tastes. Sadly, 1982 is just too far back there. I kind of have this sort of cutoff at around 1987, 88. Styles post 88 are kind of my preferred, but also it misses the one rule that I have for all crowdfunded games.
The one rule
that Maction has is there must be a playable demo before I shell out any money. There have been games that I have passed on that turned out to be amazing, and I've paid much more money for them later because I wanted them, but I couldn't justify paying out money for them because they didn't have a playable demo. And you can say all that you want that you've got it. It's 99% done. We just need the last little bit. If I don't see a playable demo, then I don't believe you.
I agree.
And that's the way it goes here. They even claim on their page that they are 90% done. I'm trying to find the exact words.
Now, while he's looking that up, guys, this is an interactive portion of the show. So Mac just presented this Kickstarter to you. He also posted the link. For those of you who are here watching live, at this point you get to vote. If you think that this is something worthy of being kickstarted, let us know in the chat. If you think we should kick it to the curb, say kick it. Let us know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mac, I'm gonna have to say kick this as well. I think that there's a difference between going old school, between going retro, and just going ancient. You know what I mean? Like I would never put a Kickstarter up. This is, hey, look, yo, I got these 2 sticks. If you buy these 2 sticks, you know how they used to use them to make fire? Now you too can make fire with these 2 sticks. Even though you could just use a lot, like it doesn't make sense. No one wants to do that. No one wants to play the Commodore 64. That doesn't make any sense at all to go that old school. And I'd be interested to see how old the people are who made this Kickstarter. So I'm gonna say kick it too. I think it should be kicked to the curb, and I think that it's kind of unanimous. I'm not seeing anyone that wants to see this kickstarted.
Yeah, not thus far. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, I might even be willing to to risk something on it, but again, it's like you say you're close to done, you say you've got prototypes, and then it just, it's like there's no demo. I have to have demo. Playable demo. But yeah.
I'm with you, man. Well, cool. Is that the end of our Kick It or Kickstart It segment?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yes, that's the end of our Kick or Kickstart segment. I think we're pretty close. Pazzy's the outlying vote here, but we're pretty close to unanimous in kicking it. So yeah, not everybody's a winner on the Kick or Kickstart segment. Sometimes we find some real cool ones. Sometimes we prove to be wrong as well. But that's all for Kick or Kickstart. Over to you, Mr. Nice Guy.
That's right. Now, guys, it's time for my favorite. And I think we might need a moment of silence because this segment, I love it so much. Let's have a moment of silence real quick. Okay, that's long enough. For our Dummy of the Week. This is the segment where I tell you something stupid that somebody did in the gaming industry or in the electronics industry, something crazy, something ridiculous, and we all laugh at their stupidity. Now, guys, this week, once again, there were 2 very, very stupid people in the news. We have 2 stories this week. So here's the first one. And you guys, these are all real. These are not made up. This one can be found on WHKY.com. On Friday, December 30th, 2016, it says, Hickory man arrested in connection to video game theft in Lincoln County. It has a picture of this gentleman. His name is Zachary Aaron Lovelace. It says 23-year-old Zachary Aaron Lovelace of Hickory has been arrested by Lincoln County Sheriff's officers on 1 count each of felony obtaining property by false pretense and misdemeanor larceny. Lovelace was charged in connection to the theft of an Xbox from a home on Prince Drive in Lincolnton. He allegedly removed the electronic equipment from a residence and used credit card information on the Xbox Live account. Now here's how he got caught. A search warrant for the IP address traced the account to a residence in Newton. Lovelace denied stealing the Xbox, but admitted to making purchases totaling $170 on the gaming system. From his arrest, Lovelace was given a $5,000 secured bond. He'll appear in court on January 12th. Now, guys, first of all, we are not ever advocating stealing or any type of criminal activity here on Two Nerds in a Pod. But if you're going to steal something, don't hook it up to the internet and use the exact same credit card information that's already in the console. All they have to do is track your IP address, and they can pinpoint your location. That's how this dummy got caught. I don't know. I feel like if someone's smart enough to hook a console up to the internet, they should know that that's a possibility. That's just me. Now, guys, we do have one more dummy of the week, and to me, this one is much more funny than the first.
Two dummies of the week, Mr. Nice Guy. A double feature.
I'm spoiling you guys this week. We got two. So this one's on phillyvoice.com. I won't read the title because it gives everything away, but this is from December 31st, 2016. Now, bear with me, guys. This is all true. It says, police in South Jersey were called to a fight over a video game controller that involved martial arts and spitting. I'm going to say that one more time. It involved martial arts and spitting. Authorities responded to a report of two males fighting at a home on the 200 block of North Willow Street in Gloucester City on December 21st. Police said when they arrived, the two men, who were in their 30s, were no longer fighting. Officers determined the argument was over a PlayStation 4 controller. During the disagreement, one man spat in the other's face. The man who was spat on claimed he, quote, blacked out and began doing kung fu and backflips, damaging the other man's fence, police said. The men decided not to file complaints against each other, and the man who channeled his inner Bruce Lee agreed to fix the other man's fence. No word on whether the missing PS4 controller was found. Okay, now, so, I don't know. Mac, first of all, do you have any thoughts on this at all, or should I just get into my...
Oh, no, I've got so many thoughts. This is not the way I expected that story to go. At least in the United States, spitting on someone is considered assault.
It is, yeah.
So I expected this to really escalate. I did not expect that he would backflip and damage his neighbor's fence. That's really what took me by surprise.
Yeah, and the thing that caught me off guard is that the second guy said he blacked out and started doing kung fu.
He wasn't in control of his actions, Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, but when you're blacked out, you're not walking around.
Maybe it was a sort of, blackout drunk. I have known some blackout drunks, and they have continued to, if not function well, they have continued to actually locomote during the course of being blacked out.
Something doesn't add up. Here's what I think went down. These dudes were acting crazy. Someone called the cops. They said, yo, I called the cops on you guys, and they were like, oh, no. So let's make up a story as to why all this stuff that we've done has happened. Because really what happened is the one guy spat in the other guy's face. The guy got mad and threw him through his fence. I think that's what happened in my intellectual determination of this situation, my analysis. But neither of them wanted to go to jail. So they said, he spat in my face. Yeah, but it's okay because then I blacked out. He spat really hard, and it caused me to black out. And then I just started doing not jujitsu. What's the other one? Kung fu. And I just kicked a hole in his fence as I was blacked out. And yeah, we don't want to go to prison, so we're not pressing charges against each other. First of all, why are you fighting over a PlayStation controller? Second of all, how do you black out in that situation? It's just a bunch of nonsense. But it is what it is, guys. Don't be dumb. Don't fight over controllers. Don't spit on people. And don't do kung fu through fences. That's our dummy of the week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great pick, Mr. Nice Guy. Great pick. And now we are on to probably my favorite segment. We call it Legalese. And during the Legalese segment, we talk a little bit about current lawsuits that are going on. Some of them may have an impact on the way that you play games. Things or even things that have been like notable lawsuits of the past or notable cases in the past that have shaped the way that we play video games or even consume video games. So this one, well, actually, believe it or not, I had quite a few to choose from. And while I've been sort of, this whole time I've been kind of mulling over which one to go for. I think I'm going to give us a double whammy here. And both of them involve Valve. These are two lawsuits that Valve has been hit with for two very different reasons. The first one actually comes from the Australian Federal Court. The Australian Federal Court has decided to fine Valve $3 million.
Whoa.
Over breaches of contract of Australian consumer law from 2011 to 2014. So basically, the bulk of the argument is that according to Australian consumer law, you need to be as a provider of a service, you need to make sure your customers are aware of your refund policy, right? And so I'll read just right here this little bit. For a period of 12 months, blah, 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 respond to both. Yeah, okay, perfect. So basically, their argument was that between 2011 and 2014, there were enough Australian consumers that were unaware that they could get refunds through the Steam's refund policy, that it warrants a fine of $3 million. They filed this lawsuit on December the 23rd, just a few days after the last time we did our Two Nerds in a Podcast, and they felt it enough to warrant a fine of $3 million to be paid within 30 days. This is still currently ongoing. However, they've got a little bit of time to appeal it. I am positive that they are going to try and appeal this, because that's a sizable chunk of money. But nonetheless, according to the Federal Court of Australia, Valve did not do enough to make sure that that people knew that they could, get a refund for games that they didn't like. So there we go. There's the first one. But as if that wasn't bad enough, Valve has another lawsuit that is ongoing. And this has been ongoing for a little while. Let me pull it up here. You may have heard of the lawsuits that have been filed against Valve for gambling, specifically relating to Counter-Strike Go, Counter-Strike Go, the skins, and people gambling on skins. For those of you who don't know, Counter-Strike Go has had these various skins that you can put onto your gun, yep, onto your character, onto the various things. And there have been these third-party sites that have made use of the fact that you can trade skins around and even pay money for them to do gambling on these skins. So, believe it or not, this suit is sort of in the trying to become a class action lawsuit phase, filed by the parents of minors who have spent a lot of their parents' money on gambling.
That's silly.
I'm
sorry.
It is so silly, Mr. Nice Guy. It is so very silly. But this is not the first time that this particular case has come. So this case, right, the lead plaintiffs in the case are parents in Oregon, Illinois, and Missouri who say that their sons lost thousands of dollars in skins gambling on the in a marketplace overseas.
Then their sons are stupid. I'm sorry.
This is third party. This is third party markets gambling. Okay. Okay. Now, because of that, this is not the first time that this kind of argument's been made. Right. This has been brought to them in the past. And so last time it came up, it's almost identical to the suit filed in Connecticut earlier this summer, which Valve, of course, had the transfer the case to the Seattle courts, since that's where they're based. And then once it winds up, getting in there, they dismiss it because it's pretty ridiculous. So the same thing's happening here. The suit hasn't actually gone forward yet, but it's likely to be dismissed just the same way as the Connecticut case. But this speaks to a much larger thing. It also kind of reminds me of the other big lawsuit over the weekend that you may or may not have heard about. And you'll have to forgive me, this isn't quite video game related. It's just kind of tech related, if I may, Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, let's do it. Of course.
Have you heard about the guy who is suing Apple for him having used FaceTime while he was driving and crashed into another vehicle?
He needs to be slapped too. He needs to be slapped,
leading to the deaths of one of his children.
No, I haven't heard about it, but that's ridiculous.
Yes, he is suing on the grounds that that Apple filed a patent. Apple patented a method of turning off certain phone features when you are driving. And yet, because Apple did not implement this feature on which they have a patent, never mind that they haven't implemented it on on anything at all, but because they haven't implemented this patented feature on FaceTime that would have prevented him from not paying attention to the road, misusing his mobile device while driving, and crashing into another vehicle. Well, I mean, clearly,
it's just
Apple's
gotten crazy. Don't ever, guys, girls in the chat, don't ever create anything. Don't ever create anything cool or useful unless you also create a way for people to protect themselves from it. Otherwise, they'll find a way to get hurt and they'll sue you. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy. That's all I had to say about that.
And yeah, it's pretty dang crazy. And the fact of the matter is that this will likely get thrown out as well, because for many years we have not required patents to actually line up with what you can actually do. So you can have a patent on something that you can't actually reproduce. You can patent the method of doing this, that, or the other. Never mind whether you can actually do it. So yeah, it's just crazy. It's ridiculous. And hey, that's legalese for you.
Legalese.
That's legalese.
Did y'all like how I hit that note right there?
You did. It was beautiful.
I was off key that time. Guys, that pretty much wraps up our show. Two Nerds in a Pod, episode 14, the nerdiest gaming podcast in the galaxy. Guys, before we end every episode, we like to do a little short segment called What We're Watching and What We're Playing. We talk about the video games that we played this week and also the stuff that we are watching on Netflix or in other places. So, Mac, do you want to start us off with what you've been watching, what you've been playing, or I can start? I don't even care. Which way should we do it this week, man?
Why don't you start off first?
I'll start it off this week. So, guys, as far as what I've been playing, you guys know it's the same thing every week. There's one game that I'm playing every week, and that is Overwatch. I'm always playing Overwatch. I just got done with the Christmas event where you could get super cool skins. I got the Tracer skin. I got the Torbjorn skin. I got the May skin, the Christmas skins. I got a lot of them. So that was pretty sweet. I played it a lot this past week while I was off work. Also, been really, really, really getting back into Hearthstone, another Blizzard game that I used to love, and I'm really getting back into it. I roll with the Priest class. That's my favorite. I've gotten up to the gold level on the Priest. I've won enough games. I think it's 500 you got to win before you get a gold hero. Also, you guys, Uncharted 4 did release that survival DLC for free. So I've been really getting back into Uncharted 4, just the multiplayer. I beat the single player a while back. But the multiplayer is really fun. It's kind of like the Last of Us multiplayer, but a little bit more high speed, a lot less stealth. It's running and gunning. It's a fun time if you have good teammates. Now, as far as what I have, and actually let's switch over to Mac real quick, and then at the end we'll talk about what I've been watching on TV as well.
Okay. Oh, quick addendum before I go for the games. I confused two different but very similar lawsuits in my mind. Galvatron had mentioned something in the chat. Thanks, buddy. He's right. It was the parents. So the dude who was FaceTiming hit their car, and the parents are suing Apple for not sufficiently protecting them from the driver who used FaceTime while driving.
Got it.
So yeah, there is an almost identical one that comes out of South Carolina. The details are just slightly different, which is why I got a touch confused there. But yeah, so it is still super ridiculous. But,
I agree.
Hey, that's where we are. So as for which games I am playing lately, at the current moment, I am playing a little bit of Secret of Mana.
Nice.
It's a great Super Nintendo game, and I am positively ecstatic that I've been able to play it. I also had this really fun one recently where I played, call me crazy, but I played Pokemon Snap, but as like a party game, right? I had a few friends over, and they were like, "Oh, let's play something." And fired up the 64. We turned on Pokemon Snap, and we just passed around the controller after every sitting or every course, and we beat Pokemon Snap together. It was a heck of a good time, and I think that Pokemon Snap is funner as a party game than it would have ever been as an individual game.
Taking it seriously. Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's just really, really a heck of a lot of fun. And just Professor Oak, screw you. The framing on that Pokemon was perfect. It all fit within the frame. I don't know why you're docking me 40 points on that.
He's trolling you.
But yeah, that's what I've been playing lately. Oh, and of course some Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5. I'm getting ready to go into Resident Evil 6, though. So we'll see how that goes.
There you go. Now, real quick, we're going to go through what we have been watching on Netflix and or Blu-ray, DVD, in the theater, whatever you've been watching. I'll go first for this. And, guys, let us know in the chat what you have been watching. Now, I've been watching a lot of stuff. And, my kids got a lot of Blu-rays and DVDs from Santa. So we just watched Finding Dory. When my brother was here, we took it back a little bit, and we watched some old Bond movies. We've been having fun doing that. As far as Netflix goes, I'm on season 4 of Arrow, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Mac, are you all caught up with Arrow?
I am not. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I'm not going to.
I'm not caught up with The Walking Dead either.
You're not caught up with The Walking Dead?
Nope.
Dude, I won't spoil. I won't spoil any of it. What'd you say?
I said AMC won't let me catch up on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, they only put like the first episode of each season up. I never got through Better Call Saul before they took stuff down, so I need to catch up with that.
Oh man, Better Call Saul. I loved Better Call Saul.
Yeah, it's a great show. I watched season 1 and it was excellent. But anyway, I've been watching those shows. Let me pull up my Netflix and see what else I've been watching. Some of this stuff is not stuff I have been watching. I have not been watching Gilmore Girls. Mrs. Nice Girl may have been watching it. Still almost done with The Office. I'm on the last season of that. Blacklist, I'm into that too, season 2. And that's kind of most of what I did. I didn't watch that much stuff this week. A couple stand-up specials. I watched some Bill Burr. Started watching Michael Che's new stand-up special on Netflix as well. And that's pretty much it. Mac, what about you, man?
Wow. So Mrs. the Mac and I have really been binging Stargate SG-1. I don't think I've watched anything else but SG-1 in my... You know how you've got that period of time in the day carved out for watching, for watching your stories, if you will,
Absolutely.
with your significant other.
Yes.
It's been all Stargate SG-1, and we've just been loving the heck out of it.
Nice.
So it's not a lot, but there it is.
Dude, it's good to keep it to one show sometime. Now, real quick before we wrap up, our viewers have been playing Titanfall 2, Infinite Warfare, Forza Horizon 3, Alien Isolation, Watch Dogs 2, Resident Evil 4, Final Fantasy 14. Someone says, I can't resist being a healer in MMOs for other people. It just feels right. Fair enough. I like being a healer in Overwatch sometimes. I get it. Someone says watching Magnificent 7 remake on Blu-ray and the Grand Tour on Amazon Video, Man in the High Castle Season 2. Someone says yes, Resident Evil 6. Someone's been watching Frasier and playing Resident Evil 5. And it looks like that is... Oh, someone says X-Files, and it looks like that someone said I love watching General Hospital. Not sure if serious. I think you might be trolling, and that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to episode 14 of Two Nerds in a Pod, the nerdiest gaming podcast in the galaxy. Hit us up on iTunes. The link is in the chat. Leave a rating. Subscribe if you enjoyed it. Mac, should we play some outro music? What do you think, man?
I think so. Let's give them what they came here for.
Mac doing that Carlton dance. I'm just going to sit here and be cool. I'm just going to sit here and just do what I do.
Right, you're playing It's Not Unusual, right?
I'm playing It's Not Unusual, absolutely. It's
Awesome.
not copyrighted or anything. We wouldn't get a copyright strike for that at all. Guys, if you had fun today, hit us up next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central Standard, twitch.tv/Two Nerds in a Pod. Also, check us out on Twitter, Two Nerds in a Pod. Twitter. You guys are the best viewers on Twitch. We will see you next week. Keep it nerdy.
Take care.
Deuces.